Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast, episode number 344. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
Ant is back.
I am back.
The masses are happy.
Yep, the masses are happy. You know why? Because I heard, and when I say I heard, I mean I heard last week's episode, but I heard you couldn't live without me for two reasons. One, you said on there, first off, your entire episode last week was ranting. And there was
purposely.
and there was nobody to keep you in check. And two, you clearly can't live without me because you couldn't even find a co-host last week.
I mean, some of it was on purpose, some of it was by accident. But it was definitely my moment to complain about the complaint I had last week about Analog Pocket. But be that as it may, and I'm not the only one with that complaint. I did get a few messages who were like, "Thank you, sir. We agree with you."
Yes,
Breath of the Wild is terrible.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story that is completely wrong. But so now Analog is your new limited run games.
Almost, because I still love their products. Their timing is terrible, but be that as it may, I know a lot of people did pick up pockets, so it was all good to go.
Yes. Well, thank you for posting something last week.
No, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to post up. We had the mess up a couple weeks prior, and truth be told, last weekend was we had the weather here in New York was wicked, flooding in New York City.
Oh yeah, I know.
Wild. Oh, you?
Yeah.
You weren't here to experience it. So
No. I heard New York was crying because it missed me.
Yes, literal rivers of tears.
Rivers of tears, and hard stories abound. I heard. Yeah. Just so you know, I was soaking it up in 95-degree heat in the middle of in the middle of Kansas.
I mean, you know what? I think I'll take flooding over 95-degree weather personally.
Yeah. No. It was actually a very nice trip.
Was it a dry heat? As they say.
Yeah, it was. There was a little bit of humidity, but not enough to care. So
well, I'm glad you had fun though, nevertheless.
I did.
Were you, I mean, I don't know if you're there for business or pleasure. Were you able to check out any stores or anything like that? Or
actually I did. I wound up in Kansas City.
Okay.
And while I was there, Kansas City. Actually, I was in both.
Oh, well, they are on the border, so yes. I guess it's easy enough to do.
I have a friend that lives outside Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay.
And when he drove me around to show me the city, we drove into Kansas City, Missouri. So
passports.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally, you're just like crossing it. It was a very simple thing. But no, while I was in Kansas City, I took the opportunity to look around for a game store, like I always do.
Yeah.
Very interesting thing there, though. I had a very hard time finding like a mom and pop shop.
Okay.
Everything I looked at online, at least in the area I was looking, were all GameStops or another chain whose name escapes me right now. Can't think of the name of it, but it's another chain store. It reminded me of like a Book Off kind of place.
Oh, okay.
Where they had a bit of everything. And I wound up going to one of their stores. There were two different names for their stores. I forget one name, but the other name was Entertain Mart.
Entertain Mart, Kansas, and Entertain Mart, Missouri.
Yes. So I hit up Entertain Mart, and like I said, it was kind of like a Book Off. So they had everything: DVDs, music, CDs, music, electronics, all that kind of stuff, right? Trade-ins. And I grabbed a couple of games while I was there. They didn't have a lot of retro, like cartridge retro. But they did have their fair share of stuff from maybe like PlayStation Up.
Oh, okay.
PlayStation Up, more PlayStation 2 Up. So I picked up a couple of games. One I picked up just for fun because I was like, I've never seen this game in the wild, or I might have or never looked for it in the wild, but it was it was just staring at me. And I was like, you know what? I need to own probably one of the worst games that was ever made.
You already have Breath of the Wild.
Okay. Well, but I don't have anything for Virtual Boy.
How dare you, sir?
I figured, and literally, unlike your hatred for Breath of the Wild, any Virtual Boy game you can get can be considered one of the worst games ever made. So I managed to grab on the PlayStation 2 Atari's Superman Shadow of Apocalypse.
Oh, okay.
The Reviled.
It's a rough one.
Rough is an understatement for this.
I mean, it's no 64, but it's a rough one.
No, but it's like one of the worst games ever made.
Yeah.
So
okay.
So, but again, good condition. Doesn't have the instruction booklet, but that's fine because the odds of me ever playing it are slim to none. Just wanted it for my collection.
Cool.
And then the other game I got in Entertain Mart. I got this one mostly because there was one. It's a compilation series, right? It's called Tecmo Classic Arcade.
Oh, I have that. Yeah.
Which I don't have. And I had never seen it before. Obviously, it has games like Tecmo Bowl on it. Like, so Tecmo Bowl, Rygar, Bomb Jack. But what caught my attention on it was that it had Solomon's Key on it. And I didn't know there was a compilation game out there with Solomon's Key. So when I saw Solomon's Key on there, I was like, ooh, I love Solomon's Key. This is just worth grabbing to add to my collection.
100%. Totally worth it.
And instruction booklet made me very happy.
Very nice condition too.
Yeah, great condition. So it's got 11 games total on it, including the original Rygar and the wildly popular Bomb Jack. Hey, no love for Solomon's Key? You should point that out. But anyway, so grab this for the Xbox, and that's really all I got. They had some other stuff, but the one thing they did have that I thought was cool was they sold original consoles too. So they had so that was kind of cool. But Entertain Mart, Kansas City, cool place. Yeah, and added a couple more to my collection.
Not too shabby.
I heard you went shopping.
Oh my God, I feel like I didn't know. I have to say, yesterday from recording, and I'm going to show us in a minute, probably quality wise, not quantity or pricing or anything, but quality wise, probably my greatest purchase I've made at Game On since going there.
Okay, that's a bold statement.
Oh, it is, and here's why. I pretty much, and actually it was all in one store. It was specifically the Smithtown location.
Okay.
So big shout out to Jay over there running the Smithtown. If you're looking for Japanese stuff, he's got a great Japanese section, a great import section. PS1, PS2, Saturn, awesome stuff.
Nice.
So basically I'm just gonna get right into it in no particular order. I went out, and this one I just kind of just randomly found. I wasn't looking for this one, but I looked at it, I looked it up, but it's kind of quirky, and you'll see why in a minute. For the PS1, Gunship.
Oh, I remember that game.
Do you? I don't know. I don't.
Yes.
Yeah,
I remember. I rented that a couple times.
Caught my eye. Very cool, kind of first-person helicopter game.
That's why I didn't care for it all that much.
And then I'm like, oh, sweet.
2-disc.
It's a 2-disc game.
And then
wait a minute, no, it's not. It's one of those stupid 2-disc boxes that that PlayStation used actually for this very reason. Look how thick that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the instruction booklet is. Yeah, the instruction booklet was so thick they needed to use the 2-disc.
It pretty much tells you how to fly an actual helicopter.
Nice.
So, but nevertheless, pick that up.
So, are you?
Cool. Am I what?
Gonna fly an actual helicopter now?
If I could, got all those Pepsi points ready to go.
All right, there you go. Good luck.
And then we'll just get right into it. First of all, this is a game I've been looking for a while. It's on the Game Gear, and again, happy enough that Game On had it. Vampire Master of Darkness.
Oh, I don't know that one.
So what this one's all about? On one of the, because I got the ROMs loaded up on the analogs and everything, and I came across a game on the Master System called Master of Darkness. It doesn't play like, but it reminds you of Castlevania.
Okay.
With like a Bram Stoker. Thank you. I want to say Stroker. Bram Stoker's Dracula element to it.
Excellent book.
And when I looked into it a little bit more, I didn't realize it was actually a European only release, Master of Darkness. Now, don't get me wrong, I could play it on the systems I have, but it was just very difficult to find. Like I mentioned before, I'm trying to find stuff now in the wild. I can go to eBay if I need to, but then when I looked into it, I realized that the North American version was released on Game Gear, and the Game Gear is essentially a portable Master System.
Nice.
It's pretty much one in the same. So I'm like, well, if I can't get that one, I'm more than happy with this one.
Okay.
So I picked that up, and I have the adapter for the Pocket, and I have a Game Gear adapter for the Mega SG, so I can play it on TV as well. So
very nice,
very cool on that one. And then another game I picked up, which I saw a Game On post this actually maybe a year ago, and finally I was able to pull it off, and I played it, and it is awesome. It is for the Sega CD.
Oh yeah, the Terminator.
I mean, this game is gorgeous.
That's in great condition.
And that's what it is. The box itself is amazing. I mean, the instruction booklet.
Yep.
Dang near never touched. And of course, there's the game there.
Very cool.
This is very cool because when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, eventually I want to get my hands on it. And luckily, I still had it.
Nice.
And then
you're not
finally, why even? I can't even pretend anymore. This is it, folks. I finally got my hands.
You found Roller Games.
On Roller Games.
And how much did you overpay for it?
$900. No, actually, it was very reasonably priced.
Okay.
But what was funny about this one is, so again, I actually went to both Smithtown and the Patchogue location, Patchogue first.
Okay.
So, and as always, I'm looking for Roller Games. I'm looking for it. And I asked, Rob at the Patchogue location. He's like, no, I don't think I have it. I looked through them. They don't have it. Rollerball all over the place.
All over it.
Which I might buy just for the fun of it now. So I go to Smithtown. I'm like, okay. And I do the same thing. Jay, do you have roller games? He's like, nah, I don't think so. It's so weird. You're like, it's not popular, but it's never around. So I'm looking through, they got them alphabetical order. I didn't see it. I'm like, all right. And I was doing like my one last lap around. And I don't know how I missed it, but it was like they have some games just laying down flat.
Yeah.
And it just caught my eye. And literally, I grabbed it and not doing like an audible scream. I'm literally like in the corner, like throwing my fists in the air. You know what I mean? Like miming.
Right. And Jay's like, calling the cops.
Yeah, basically. He's like, what are you doing? And I showed him. And he's like, I had no idea we had it in stock.
So it was free?
No, I wish. No. But nevertheless, got it. Okay. I am so happy.
Congratulations.
Very cool.
I did, by the way, I did look for it.
Oh, appreciate it. Totally. I've been funny if we both bought it.
That would be right. And I already have a copy. So
so that, and then there was one more, just one more game I picked up. So, is what it is.
Slasher Card 64. That's mine.
Yes, that is yours.
That is mine.
It is a ROM hack of Mario Kart 64, featuring our favorite, murdering psychopaths.
That makes me very, very happy. So, the psychopath in me is happy.
Yes. So when I see you, I'll give that to you. Unfortunately, I can't try it out because I don't have an N64. So, but I trust it works.
Well, what I'm really curious to find out is whenever Polymega decides to send me the N64 the N64 thing, see if that'll work in it.
Hopefully. If not, it's kind of a cool cover.
Yeah, that's an awesome cover. Yeah. I'm looking forward to playing it. And I do have an N64, so I can always play
There you go.
Yes.
So that is the whole. I was so happy. I mean, I was happy to pick up Vampire, but when I came across Rolling, like caught my eye, I was like, oh my God. So very, very happy.
That's awesome. All right. Well, congratulations, man. That's really cool.
Now I got to figure out what my next thing is to find. I mean, right now, again, the top is going to be a Game Boy Light. That's going to be a little while.
Yeah.
And I know I can just pull the trigger.
And then a clear analog pocket.
There was some issues we'll talk about at a later time, maybe when they start being delivered.
Yeah.
But some people had a little concerns about the product photos of the originally announced colors and then the ones that were and maybe not as deep in the richness of the color.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens when they get delivered.
We got to put on your list the limited run games version of Night Trap. You still have to track that down.
Some things are meant to be left alone. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's why Virtual Boy was put out of business. They just had to leave it alone in its awfulness.
The bigger mistake than the Virtual Boy was Nintendo not releasing Virtual Boy games on the 3DS. I will go to my grave saying that.
Well, in that respect, I do agree because it would have been the only opportunity for them to make any money off of those things. Catch up.
We did. Yeah. But what we want to mention right now is, and normally there's other things that will be reserved for our retro birthdays later on. But there are two big system anniversaries.
Yes.
To talk about two that I didn't even realize hit these milestones, and two systems neither of us have owned.
No.
But we've seen.
Yes.
And I mean, we'll talk about it individually. I definitely wanted one of them. Like, really wanted one of them.
I own a game for one of them.
So do I, actually.
Yeah.
Do I have for both? No, I don't have one. So we're gonna get right into it. And do you want to go with the younger one or the older one first?
Let's go with the younger one.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, celebrating its 20th anniversary, being released, well, 20 years ago. There it is. October 7th, 2003.
Yes.
Is the Nokia N-Gage.
The N-Gage, the mobile phone that nobody owned.
I mean, so let's put ourselves into 2003, right? Yes. So for me personally, I'm already a year out of college. Working my job. I'm working in Queens, New York. I'm working at St. John's at this time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They put me there for like a year and a half. And
where was I in 03?
Probably still in school.
That is true. I was in school, but I was also working full time. I just don't remember
Look
where.
At you, nerd.
That's me.
So, and in 2003, probably just months prior to this, now working in Queens, doing the commute and everything like that. This was the year I got my first ever cell phone. And it was a Nokia because I was really the only one out there. And if you remember, it was that blue one, the one they gave out for free to almost everybody.
Oh, yes. I remember that little blue one.
Little tiny blue one where like I would talk. It's probably the size of this mouse, the Apple mouse.
Yeah.
And like I'd hold it to my ear and then move it to my mouth. Hold it to my ear, move it to my mouth to talk to people. And that was back in the day, folks. Where
even though you didn't have to.
No, you're right. You didn't have to. But no one. This
is
brand new technology. Who knew?
Yeah.
And then this was during the time where text messages, you were allotted maybe like 300 a month, and then it was like a nickel for every text thereafter.
Yes.
What was it? 7 p.m. or 9 p.m. was free minutes.
Oh, yeah. I think it was after 9.
Probably after a certain time, it was unlimited minutes.
Yeah.
Weekends were unlimited.
You had limited number of minutes.
You did. So all right. So I picked that up, and like the only two games I had on my cell phone were Snake. And Slot Machine.
Oh, you didn't have Minesweeper?
No, not on that little Nokia one.
Okay.
Maybe I did. No, I don't think so.
No, I remember my first cell phone was like Snake and Minesweeper. Those were my two.
Okay. So later on, this thing comes out, the N-Gage. And this was revolutionary technology because now we can play. It was another handheld gaming system, but this was the first one to truly merge gaming and cell phone technology.
Yep.
Properly? Maybe not. But it was enough to live itself into the history of video gaming. So just kind of give the stats on this thing again. October 7th, 2003 was released. It was discontinued February 24th, 2006. It got a 3-year run, which longer than I thought.
Yeah, that actually surprised me because I'm looking at it too. I like the information, and I'm like, that's nuts. Yeah.
Considered 6th generation. That's basically when it came out. And then it took these multimedia cards. If I remember correctly, I don't even think they were straight up SD cards, but it might have been like almost like SD cards, but like their version of it. It was straightforward. The system itself, it's like a semicircle for those listening who aren't aware what it was. And look, it had your buttons, right? It had a D-pad. It had the, your numbers 1 through 9, of course, 0, your standard dial pad, I should say.
Well, because you got to call people.
No, of course. And, there's the way the buttons were set up. Also, 2 of the buttons, the 5 and the 7 were red because those were your action buttons when playing the game. Played music, played, everything that it would play in 2003. And it took phone calls.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it got interesting. Because it was also its street name was dubbed the taco phone. Because for some reason, when they were designing this phone, they put the speaker and the microphone on like the top edge, not the face, the top edge of the phone. So you had to hold it to your head sideways. Like you're talking into a taco.
Yep.
It was the silliest thing in the world.
Taco phone.
It really was.
Taco phone.
And game wise, which I can't believe I just accidentally. Oh, here it is. Okay, I thought I closed it.
I was gonna say I'm looking at the game list.
The game list actually was really good. Companies really put their effort into this. Some of the games to mention that came out, games like Bomberman, Call of Duty, Rayman 3 was out. Of course, Snakes. Had Tom Clancy games. I remember Tomb Raider coming out on
I want to know how anybody played Tomb Raider on this little N-Gage.
So I believe recently the Angry Video Game Nerd did a Tomb Raider episode. I think he does mention and show some gameplay of this. And again, for a cell phone, for what it was in 2003, it actually played pretty good.
No, but I mean controlling, like with the controls.
Don't even get me started. Yeah,
that's what I mean. But can you imagine doing that on a cell phone with a 2-inch screen?
And not only that, but the screen was a long screen. You know how like the iPhone is a long screen. So you're right. It was like that tiny.
it was so small. So like any game on there must have been a pain. Even the like Spider-Man 2, playing that on there must have been a pain. Like I can only imagine the challenge.
WWE had a game, Aftershock.
Yep.
And then the X-Men Legends games were on there.
Yeah. See, those I can see you playing because they're more like a hack and slash kind of game.
True.
Yeah.
Now another very interesting part of the N-Gage, again, a design flaw I can't believe someone in the room went, "Oh, we were seriously moving forward with this." Now the games, of course, came on their individual cards. To install a game, or not install, to just put in a game. Like how we have the Switch. Imagine the Switch the way it is now. You put the game on top.
Yep.
You had to take the back of the system off, the back of the N-Gage, pop the battery out, and that's where you gained access to put in the game that you want to play for the bus trip to wherever you're going, to work and back. It's very awkward.
Yeah. Well, you had to basically decide like what game you were going to play before you left home.
Yeah.
So you can get it like all set up.
It was very weird.
Yeah.
I will give it innovation for the time, early 2000s. Instead of using, like, if you want to play multiplayer, like you actually almost like the TurboGrafx 16. I feel like everyone might have known someone who had an N-Gage. I didn't know anyone who had an N-Gage.
No, I did not.
But did not. It used Bluetooth technology to play multiplayer, or it used the internet through an N-Gage Arena service. So they had their own kind of internet service, kind of sort of. That I didn't know about, which is pretty cool. And it had like kind of PDA like features, like I said, the Bluetooth, the music and everything like that. So we had this taco phone. All right, cool.
Taco phone.
As with everything gets a facelift. And later on, someone finally went, you know what? Can we please fix everything that's wrong with the N-Gage? And maybe we have a slight shot at making some money on this thing.
Yep.
And then came out. Now, this is the first time I ever realized the actual true name of this one. If you will, we just basically called it the new N-Gage or N-Gage 2.0. But the N-Gage QD.
Yes.
Now, the QD, again, was basically a facelift on the N-Gage. For the most part, it looked the same. It still had almost that semicircle look to it. But they changed up the buttons a little easier to see the buttons as well, the color layout. But the most important thing is that they moved where you could install the game. It just basically right on the bottom, much like how you put a Switch game into the Switch.
Exactly.
And then for the most part, they did take out some stuff because this came out less than a year later. Actually, I think it came out like in May of 2004 or something like that.
Yeah.
They took out the ability to play MP3 and stuff like that. You were able to do it through like a third party, I guess a program that you downloaded.
Okay.
But I mean, really, you bought it to use a cell phone and to play games. No one envisioned surfing the internet and everything on that.
No, I couldn't imagine doing that on there. Holy cow.
I remember, again, I never owned an N-Gage, but I do remember really, really wanting one. But back then, I mean, those tiny cell phones were almost as expensive as ones are today. And it was a little tougher.
It was new technology.
Not only that, but again, being straight out of college and not like I can have that money to do. So, but nevertheless, it was a very cool idea, especially for Nokia, because Nokia was like the Apple back then. Like they dominated the cell phone market. So, if you have an N-Gage nowadays, do you still use it? Do any of our listeners have an N-Gage? Had an N-Gage? Definitely chime in on that one. But I think it's really cool. 20 years, and the fact that it's still mentioned, still comes around. I've even seen a couple of emulators for the N-Gage. And I think what it's lasting. What's the word I'm looking for? Legacy? Yeah. Is the fact that it really did get a lot of good companies to back it and produce some good game. Look, I'm not saying like spectacular, but some great games for a cell phone for the early 2000s.
True. And it did wind up with 58 games. I
Yeah,
think.
a ton of them, yeah.
It came out with 58 games. The stat that I liked that I saw on Wikipedia was this. It launched for $2.99. So what? Not an insane amount of money.
No. I mean, it was a little tough back then, but still not the worst.
But in its first weeks available in the United States, it was outsold by the Game Boy Advance 100-1.
Well, I mean,
so much so that 17 days after its release, retailers like GameStop and Electronics Boutique began offering $100 rebates on it. So you could have got it. You could have got it for like $200.
No, it definitely dropped really quickly.
And Larry, if you're interested, since you are the king of purchasing, on eBay right now, I happen to have.
Oh, really?
A Nokia N-Gage with memory card, Tony Hawk game, and charger. It is currently a buy it now for $150.
Really?
Yes.
Wait, which version?
It is the OG, the first one,
the Taco phone.
Taco phone. You can have the Taco phone. You can have the Taco phone for $150.
Maybe I might have to look into that.
And then there are N-Gage games available on eBay as well.
Oh, they're definitely that I know. Yeah, no, they're definitely.
N-Gage. But yeah, somebody's got it up there for $150. When I saw it, I said, that's actually kind of affordable.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. So
but I remember, they definitely tried to look. It's always fun to watch these.
Brand new version of Tomb Raider for $30.
There we go. It's worth just buying just to own.
Brand new. Yep. So, tempting.
It's always fun to see some of these companies try and step up to the giants. Look, someone's got to.
Yeah.
And, the fact that they tried to go up against the Game Boy Advance, I mean, good luck to them. I think it was a losing effort out of the box. But, there's got to be competition there. That's what thrives everybody.
They did sell 3 million units.
Oh, they were out there. I'm pretty sure I've seen maybe one person, because I worked in a college bookstore for a while. So I'm pretty sure I saw maybe 1 or 2 N-Gages in the wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, definitely I could have had the opportunity because my little Nokia phone was stolen while I was at work. Yeah, so that sucked.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, very cool. Happy birthday. Yep. Happy 20th anniversary.
Happy 20th, N-Gage.
Yes.
The funny thing about that is or that I was thinking of when you were talking about when you first got your cell phone. I think when I got my first cell phone, the N-Gage was already discontinued.
Wow, you were late to the game.
I was very late to the game. You know what it was? Back then, I was in my 20s, I was a little bit of a curmudgeon. Now I'm a very happy, positive person.
You're screaming it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it just exudes. You can see do you see the glow? But back then I was a very strong proponent of, I don't want people tracking me down everywhere I go. So I did not want a cell phone. For years, I did not want a cell phone. And the only reason why I got a cell phone when I did was I was in college working on my second master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working on a film set with my film professor. And they sent me out to go pick up one of the stars of the short film we were shooting.
Okay.
And he is a name in the industry. It wasn't a nobody. It was actually a name in the industry. They sent me to the wrong address.
Nice.
So I'm in Brooklyn waiting to pick up this guy. I waited for like an hour and he never showed up. And I'm like, what is going on? So I run and find a payphone because they still existed then. Called up the director or whoever. And I said, hey, I've been waiting for over an hour. This guy's not coming out of the home. And then they're like, oh, it's like, what address do you have? I go, well, I have the address you gave me. He's like, no, that's the wrong address. You need to go to this address. They sent me to like an address like 2 blocks down. So I had to drive up 2 blocks. And then I get there and there's a very angry actor waiting to be picked up because the entire shoot was on hold until I got this guy.
I can only imagine.
So everybody's unhappy. And I drive back and I drop him off. I bring him back to set and everything like that. And then my professor comes over to me. They're like, what happened? Then I told her what happened. She's like, if you're going to work on film sets, you need a cell phone. And then as soon as that shoot was over, a few days later, I had a cell phone in my pocket.
There you go.
That is how I got a cell phone.
Just on a side note.
Begrudgingly.
Did you have a beeper?
I did. I had a beeper briefly, yes.
Okay.
And I fell the beeper thing. I fell into the whole, oh, this is really cool. People can find me whenever they want. And then I realized, no, that was in the 90s though.
Okay, that's fair enough.
A little different, younger and everything. Yep. And then I got rid of it really quickly because I'm like, nobody pages me. Why do
I feel like I literally got a beeper 18 days before the beeper stopped. You know, I mean, like before people stopped buying beepers.
It sounds like you.
No, I was that when I was so late to the game. Yeah. And then one more quick question, then we'll move on. This one I was like, I always find fun. Obviously not telling us what they were, but how many cell phone numbers have you gone through?
I have gone through.
The fact that you even had to pause to think about it is wild to me.
No. I'm thinking to make sure the number is as low as it is. I think I've only gone through 2.
Oh, that's it? I could have sworn maybe one more.
2, maybe 3. And to be honest with you, I don't remember them.
Oh, I don't blame you. I mean, who really remembers phone numbers?
But I think I think 2 or 3 at most. Because I think at one time I don't think you were able to carry your number over.
That's true.
In the beginning,
numbers was
in the beginning, if you switch,
right.
In the beginning, if you switched companies, you had to get a new number.
I think you're right.
Yeah, but I think at most I've only had 3.
The only thing that has stayed consistently with me for over 20 years now, or at 20 years, is my cell phone number.
Is your cell phone number?
It's the exact same number since day one.
No.
So
no, the only thing that stayed with me all of this time is my original email address, which I still have. My original AOL. I never use it. It's pretty much.
I know. I don't know why I keep sending you stuff on it, folks. When we do the show, we have to send stuff back and forth to each other.
Yeah.
I don't know why I send it to his AOL account.
No. I have 2 AOL addresses. One of them I still use, but my very, very original one that I got when I first got AOL.
Oh, so it's not the one I'm thinking of.
Not the one you're thinking of.
Oh, okay.
The one I originally got in 95 or 96.
Okay.
It's still there because it's the main email on my account. Because remember back AOL, you were able to have multiple screen names that you would sign in with.
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember going through multiple screen names.
Well, yeah, but there was a drop-down menu, so you could like choose.
Oh, maybe I do remember that.
Yeah. So I had 2. Well, I had my original, and then I changed it to another one, but the original stayed. So because of that, I had the original email address, and I've never gotten rid of it. Eventually, I stopped using it, but it's still there. So I've had that for now 27 or 28 years.
I can't even tell you what they were. I know what the topics were, but as much as I've only had one cell phone my entire life, I have had more than my fair share of screen names and email addresses up until recently where, more 365, that's me. That's my online handle, my email, crying out loud. It's my license plate, in all honesty.
Yep.
But before that, I went through like maybe once every 6 months I was changing screen names. But
pretty
interesting.
I've only had 3.
And then what's funny enough, when I went to a Gmail account and I'm like, all right, let me just make this like blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, you know what? Let me now go to iCloud because now I have all the Apple stuff. I'll go to iCloud. Yep. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It was going from something to Gmail because I wanted to try to get a shorter email address.
Okay.
So, yeah, because optonline.net versus gmail.com. When I switched it, it ended up being the exact same number of letters. So it really didn't help any. So I was like, oh man. But the original handle I had on OptOnline would have been outdated anyway. So, but I'm happy with more 360.
I remember that, by the way.
Yes. Oh, BSO2K. I remember. Yeah.
No, wasn't it? No. Wasn't there one before that?
Oh my God.
Wasn't Bookstore Outlaw before that?
Oh, that was probably a full email. Yeah, like Bookstore. Yeah. Or it might have been just the full handle.
Yeah, you had the full handle, and then you shortened it.
I did, yes, thank God. And then it just went to my name, and then now more 365. And then during my Mystery Science Theater, in the early was.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, and I had to explain to a lot of people what Misty meant.
Yes. Well, yeah, because they were like, "Wait, is this a porn line?" Or something?
Like, no, I'm a fan of Mystery Science Theater.
Hi, I'm Misty.
Folks, the 90s were different. So, but in any event,
they definitely were. And speaking of the 90s.
Yes, we got another one, right?
We have another retro birthday for a console this time.
Yes.
Because we didn't have an episode last week, so we couldn't talk about it. But released on October 4th, 1993, The 30th. It is now the 30th retro birthday of the 3DO interactive multiplayer. That is the full name of it.
Yes, that is a system I never wanted back then, but I'm dying to own now.
I want it now because I have the Joker's Wild on
You
3DO.
do.
And I want to play it.
And
3DO is not playable on the Polymega yet. So
no. You think it would be?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do get it so that I can play it and not worry about buying a 3DO.
Those are giant.
They are huge. And I should have looked at it on eBay to see what it's going for, but I did not.
Well, while you're doing your thing.
Yep, while I'm doing that. So the 3DO Interactive Multiplayer was a home video game console developed by the 3DO company.
Mm-hmm.
It came out, like I said, October 4th, 1993 in North America. Came out late March in Japan, March 94 in Japan, Europe, June 94. Mm-hmm. It lasted for 4 years, which I was surprised to hear.
Oh, yeah, longer than expected, right?
Yeah, 93 to 97. Sold 2 million units worldwide. Games were CD-ROM based. Mm-hmm. The original price for this system, you want to talk about a hefty price, your N-Gage was $300 in 2003. This thing went for $700 in 1993.
I'm gonna try and look up price inflation.
Okay, $700. The N-Gage with price inflation would have been $476 today.
Oh, someone already did the math.
Well, it was on the whatchamacallit, on the Wikipedia for it. This one I'm trying to see what the Wikipedia has for it, but I don't see the price for inflation. You can look that up though.
I'm doing it right now.
What was cool about this system was that it came out after the Sega CD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Came out after the Sega CD, but it predated the Saturn, the Sony PlayStation, and the N64. Mm-hmm. What's that? What I saw you bug out.
Yeah, it's almost doubled. Would it be $1,487.32?
Yep.
112.
That's an expensive system.
% increase from 1993.
Yeah. So when it was first announced, though, they were lauding this as the next generation of gaming for its graphics and everything like that. So much so that Time Magazine actually announced this as 1993 product of the year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Someone got fired.
So they definitely did. Because, it got very mixed reviews. Most of the reviews said basically wait for Sega and Sony to come out with their next systems.
Mm-hmm.
Also, not only that, but they were telling people to hold off on buying this because of the upcoming Atari Jaguar. That's how much they thought it was going to be a so-so system.
Yeah, right.
Not that great, which is sad when you think about it.
Totally.
Yeah. So also the N64, because the N64 had been announced, but as Project Reality.
Yes, love that.
It wasn't. I thought that was kind of cool. So, like I said, wound up selling 2 million units, but a lot of versions of this came out.
Yeah, it's
because there were multiple
licenses or something.
Yeah, there were multiple licenses and companies working on this thing. So Panasonic released three different versions.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Panasonic FZ1 Real 3DO,
that's the original,
which is the OG.
Yeah.
Then there was the FZ10 3DO, which came out about a year later.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, when that one got released, it was a top-loading CD.
Yes.
The original one, the original one had a disc tray that came out.
Like the Sega CD.
Yeah, right? It literally followed the Sega CD format. Then there was, in Japan only, the Panasonic N1005 3DO CD changer, which was a custom console that had a 5-disc CD drive.
Really?
Yep. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so you had 5 discs in there at once. Then I guess Panasonic got tired of making them. Then Gold Star came in and came out with 4 different versions.
When they was done fighting the Power Rangers.
Yep. So yeah, exactly. Gold Star. No, that was a Gold
R.
The first version that Gold Star came out with was in South Korea and was basically a copy of the original version.
Of course.
Then they came out with GDO 101 for North America and Europe. Then there was the 202 for Korea and Europe. And then finally, the 203 3DO Alive 2 for South Korea only.
Alive!
And then for some odd reason in 95, Sanyo came out with one in Japan. So this thing kind of bounced around.
It did.
All over the place. And there were a couple of other things that came out with it, which were really cool. The system board in it had a whopping 200 megabytes bus.
Whoa.
Clocked at 50 megahertz.
Look out.
It had 2 megabytes of RAM.
Wow.
Megabytes.
Yeah.
Megabytes. one megabyte of VRAM.
Okay.
And 32 kilobytes of SRAM. So, lots of RAM. The accessories it came with, not only did it come with a controller, you were able to buy a light gun for the shooting games.
Well, I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, most of the games were arcade port games.
Yeah.
One that actually I had on the Sega CD, Mad Dog McCree, was released on this. There was a mouse released for it.
Really?
It was bundled with Konami's game Police Knots.
Okay.
And then there was Home Arcade Systems released a steering wheel for the 3DO to support several racing titles, including, I don't know if you know this, it came out on the 3DO. Need for Speed actually was released on the 3DO.
Oh, that I knew. Yeah, that was.
Yeah. And there were a bunch of games that came out with it. Obviously, it was a commercial failure. Time Extension, the website that we go to for our news, they put out an article for the 3DO to celebrate its 30th anniversary, and they listed some of the 30 best 3DO games ever made.
Okay.
What I didn't realize, like some of the games that were on there, like I said, Need for Speed, Road Rash, Total Eclipse, John Madden Football, FIFA released on there. All of those franchises wound up moving over to Sony and Sega for the PlayStation and Saturn. But the 3DO did have an interesting library of stuff. Some of the ones I'm just going to shout out on their list, their top 30 list. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo.
Yes.
Was on the 3DO. Crash and Burn, which was a cool racing game. There was a horror-esque game called The Horde, which I am very interested in now. And remember, because this was a CD-based game, like Sega CD, some of them had like The Horde full motion video.
Yes.
Mixed in with the gameplay, which was kind of interesting. Road Rash, which I brought up. Samurai Showdown, Wolfenstein 3D, had some really heavy hitters on there. Gex was released on the 3DO.
And we're getting the trilogy re-release very soon.
Yeah, so there was some really solid games on the system. Unfortunately, it wasn't that popular. And we got better things with Sony and Sega.
We did. Again, another system that got backing from companies that you kind of weren't expecting, or at least nowadays when you look back on it. On eBay sold various versions of the system, going anywhere between, on average, like between 150 and 210.
Wow.
Not bad at all.
No, not bad at all. I might be purchasing that.
Yeah, each one comes with at least one controller. The funny thing I always found with this is the 2-player aspect of the game system. The system itself only had one controller port.
Yes.
If you plug in a second controller, you would plug that into the first controller, and it would daisy chain itself.
Yeah, which was definitely
very weird.
Not a way you want to play games.
Because if you're a 2-player game, you just slightly oops.
Oops, sorry, I pulled your controller or I unplugged you.
Yeah.
North America actually got a total of 162 games on this system. So not that low.
Definitely more than I thought.
Altogether, though, worldwide, there were 251 games released on the 3DO. Now, I want to get my hands on this for a couple of reasons. One, I want to play my Joker's Wild game.
Joker.
There are 2 Dungeons and Dragons games on this system that I want to check out.
Okay.
Which I was interested in. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Death Keep and Slayer, but I think they were also both released on PC. So I can always go that route. Yeah. But just to add the 3DO to my collection, I would like to do that because I have a bunch of other consoles. What's one?
Yeah, why not? Now, which one would you go for?
Ooh. You know me. I like to get the first. I like to get the OG version.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'll be happy with I'd be happy with either one. Just to add it to my collection.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Cool. So happy 30th retro birthday, 3DO.
Happy birthday to that. Some great systems, great old systems. And if you had any of the systems, and where can our listeners and watchers get a hold of us to tell us if they have these systems?
Wow, that wasn't awkward at all. But if you want to reach out to us, you can do that on Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram @RetroGamersPodcast, on Twitter
X.
@RetroGamersPod. I will never call it X because you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of my young 20s when people would talk about X as in ecstasy. So we'll never call it X. It's Twitter.
Wow. Where we go? Okay.
On Twitter @RetroGamersPod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube @RetroGamersPodcast, or you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com.
Yes. And with that, let's get ready to close it out. But of course, we got to talk about some news. Well, actually, before we get to news,
back it up.
Yes.
Back it up.
Oh, I feel like I'm editing something. Let's now get into, and I held off on this. I did not talk about it last week because I knew I wanted to wait for you purposely. Yes. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the game of the week.
All right, this week's game of the week. It was yours, so go for it.
It was, and again, in honor of next year, us getting a new version of the game coming out, I'm like, you know what, folks? Let's play some Contra. Let's play some amazing Contra. Konami's greatest game that they've ever put out. And in my opinion, it's magnum opus. Yes. Oh, I'm sticking to it.
No, it's a fair one to stick to.
So Contra, and to me, Contra, you know, a lot of games you loved as an arcade game, and then when it got ported to the Nintendo, the NES, you're like, all right, this works. We'll deal with it. I will take the NES version over the arcade version any day of the week.
Okay.
I am not crazy about the arcade version of
You don't like the little animated sequences?
It's just I don't know. Just I'm not crazy about it.
Okay.
And maybe just because I'm used to the NES version. But what's near and dear to me, as sometimes when we pick some of these games, they have a little bit of personal attachment to it when we pick them.
Okay.
This was the first game I ever beat.
Oh, that's right. We've talked about that before, and it's a moment to be proud of.
I remember it not vividly, but I remember most of it. And yes, I did use the Konami code. I'm not going to lie. I was
is okay.
10 or 12 or whatever.
You were but a child.
I was definitely younger than 12. So I just remember I was just in my room playing the game, whatever. And just, I'm getting further in. I'm getting further into the game. Like, oh, this is okay. What's going on? Not even knowing how long the game is. I didn't know how many stages it was. And then when I get to that last level, and when you get to me, one of the most interesting looking bosses in gaming history, again, probably because of my attachment to it.
Of course.
It's a beating heart.
Yes. I love that part.
So, and that's what you're firing on. And if I remember correctly, which I'm sure I'm not, I probably didn't have any special weapons. I probably died so many times. I'm just stuck with my regular gun. And I always, even before that, I always pushed through. And it was just always my go-to game. And then finally, when that last shot hit that heart, you know what I mean? And starts blowing up. And now, first of all, thinking, okay, is there another level coming? And then realizing that's it.
Yep.
I just beat, not only that, I beat a game.
You beat a game. And that's why you kept going back to it, because it was the only game you ever beat.
Probably. And then when I beat that game, I remember being so like, I probably almost hyperventilated because I couldn't believe I did it. And like, I'm screaming in the house. It's only me. I'm the only kid in the house. I'm an only child. So my mother like runs into the room like, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? I'm like, I beat this game. And she's like, don't you ever scream like that again. My mom yelled at me a lot when I was little. She used to smoke.
You have a gravelly voice.
No, she wasn't like, how dare you?
I know. Well, no, you said she smoked.
No, I know. And the only reason why she quit smoking is because the veterinarian told her it was bothering the dog. So there we go. Barclays. She smoked Barclays.
That sounds about right.
Yep. And I used to buy them for her. That's nice. How old we are, folks.
That's how old we are.
We could buy cigarettes.
No. We were able to go as kids and be like, I'm buying these for my mom.
And look, with the retro game we're talking about, I remember the day I went into the store to buy a pack, and the guy goes, listen, there's some new law that might be coming down soon. I might not be able to do this anymore. And I'm like, what new law? Laws, schmoes. Give me a pack of cigarettes. So I remember beating it, and then finally, when the commotion, the ruckus calmed down, we ended up. It was right before dinner. I think like we were ordering out anyway. And like, for celebration, I got to pick the meal I wanted. So of course I got like a chicken parm hero from Connie's Pizzeria. Do you remember Connie's Pizzeria?
Oh, I remember Connie's. Connie's?
Yeah. My grandmother used to live like right around the corner. My grandparents lived there. They had, up until they switched ownership, the absolute best chicken parm hero on the planet.
All right. I'll take your word for it. I had homemade.
No, I'm talking about from a restaurant.
Oh, from a restaurant. Okay.
Yeah. Homemade's different, of course.
That's right. But always better.
The best parm anyway. Anyway, so since then, yes, I've always had my love for Contra. Funny enough, I didn't beat Super C until
adulthood.
No, it was like a year before the pandemic or something.
Yeah, no, I remember when you did it. We talked about it on the podcast.
When the Mini came out. When the NES Mini, because that's the first time I beat it on the Mini, shockingly enough. So and those are in the series, those are the only 2 games I've ever beaten.
Okay.
Never got that far, shockingly, in Alien Wars, for Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
God help me with the Genesis version. That's a tough one. Yep. Genesis version. But nevertheless, I love Contra. And so I was very happy to play through it again. I beat it. Again, at this point now, it's old hat. But still, it's just one of those games that will never, ever get old with me.
Okay. Well, for me this time around, first off, Contra's the only one in the series that I ever beat because after that one, for some odd reason, I just never continued to follow it. So I never played any of them until you brought up, I think we do Super C or Alien Wars as a game of the week?
We did Super Nintendo. Yeah, Contra 3 we did. Yeah.
Yeah, we did Contra 3. So that, so I really don't have that much history with Contra except playing the first one and beating it. So, but if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I said that I was going to play without the Konami code because I had never beaten the game without the Konami code. Okay. I am very happy to say, as of today, I still have not beaten it without the Konami code.
Nice.
I keep dying in level 4. I don't know why.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
The second one where you walk forward, I just keep dying. I don't know why. Like I just keep again. It's
on the boss level.
You walk through and then the boss is the.
Okay, no, I'm saying it's like you're not dying in the corridor. You're dying when you fight.
I die once or twice in the corridor, but then I die at the end. But it's the alien that separates.
No, I know what you're talking about. Optimus Prime.
Optimus Prime, yeah. Optimus Prime keeps killing me. So and I tried it several times, but again, the whole point of it is to beat it with the 3 lives, and I wasn't able to do that. So
look, to be fair, I beat it for the first time without the Konami code, maybe like recently, actually.
Yeah.
But
despite doing that challenge, I mean, I've always loved this game. There was something really fun about it because it was just a very simple like the music makes it exciting. Absolutely love the music. The music makes it exciting. The run and gun, again, as a kid growing up in the 80s, this felt very Rambo, very Predator. So like you were able to make, like I was always making a connection of this game to those movies.
I wonder why.
I wonder why. The cover says it all. So there was that part of it. So like look, give it to Konami for tapping into something that was currently out and popular in the 80s, So I thought that was really cool. The fact that the levels changed also made it really interesting. So in other words, you went from a side-scrolling level, to I don't know,
moving forward,
like a third-person perspective, moving forward level, to then a vertical level. Yeah. So it wasn't just your standard side-scroller. Oh, you side-scroll through every level. So the variety of it made it interesting. It wasn't a very long game, but even still, it was just a satisfying game to play through and to beat. Graphics were fun. Graphics were really well done for what it was, an 8-bit game.
Yeah.
Just overall, like I never really had a single complaint about it. The biggest issue with the game, because it was an arcade game, was that it was hard to beat. And Konami fixed that by putting in what has become synonymous with Konami, the Konami code. In the arcade, obviously, they want you to die after 3 lives, so you put in another quarter.
Of course.
But at home, when you bought, when you've paid $50 or $60 for the game, you want to be able to beat it. So the Konami code allowed you to do that. So all in all, like absolutely, like one of the very few games I can say that I've never really had anything negative to say about it.
Wow.
So
awesome. I like to hear that.
Yeah. And the arcade version, to me, I still find fun.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't despise it.
Yeah.
It's just not that crazy about
it. But I do relate to the NES one, obviously.
Totally more. Right. Yeah. And then we're not going to go into it here, but to look into the history of Contra as far as its different versions, like it's we learned that there are some translations that change coming from Japan over here to US. Actually, the Famicom version of Contra has more animated sequences in the game and has cutscenes as well. But the actual difference where like North America, we get Contra, but in Europe, they get Probotector.
That's right.
And it's the exact same game, but due to like whatever the laws were over in Europe about
laws or licensing, right?
No, it had nothing to do with licensing. Had to do with the fact that you're like killing humans or something. That's why they're robots in this game. Probotector, they're robots. Again, everything else is the exact same, but you and the villains are robots. So
Europe pretty much had like an ESRB before we did.
Kind of, sort of. So, and which is also why over in Europe is Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
That's right.
Because the word ninja was almost like outlawed or something.
They can't be weird. Ninjas. Evil ninjas. So,
but check out Probotector if you can. And if you want a really good hack, a ROM version, if you think Contra is hard to begin with now, one of the first games I actually bought when I went to Game On, Contra Revenge of the Red Falcon.
Oh, wow. Nice.
This is, as much as the first level is in original Contra, the first level in this one is about 3 times longer. And it is almost like a bullet hell game.
Wow. Okay.
It's wild. Yeah, it's a fun one to play.
Cool. I'll have to try that one one day when I visit.
Definitely. So, cool. All right, cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hopefully everyone out there enjoyed it. And Ant, what have you decided on a game of the week this week?
I actually have decided on a game this week. I'm not doing an audible or coming up with it off the fly. On the fly. I know. Hey, you know what? I put thought into this show. I do every week for about 5 minutes. So this week, we're gonna stay on the NES, which again, I'm a proponent for like branching out to other systems because I don't want us to just stick to NES games. But I'm choosing this game specifically because there are very few opportunities where I can pick this game and make it synonymous with something in real life.
Okay.
So it's October. It's Halloween is coming up. You know how much I love scary movies and everything like that.
Spooky, scary skeletons.
Spooky, scary stuff. And in celebration for this Friday, which is a very special day, I want us to play Friday the 13th on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Wow.
Now, yes. I was going to go one step further, but I don't think you have access to this game, and honestly, I don't know where mine is. There was a Friday the 13th game on the Commodore 64.
Ooh,
but tracking that one down might be a pain. If I didn't look to see if it's on archive.org. If it is, but I would argue if we can, we could play through a slew of Friday the 13th games because there's one on the Commodore 64, there's one on the NES. And then, of course, there's the multiplayer game that's available on PlayStation 4 and 5, which we have played. But that's a current game. Retro-wise, I think it's easier to stick to the NES Friday the 13th.
Frank is still hiding underneath the bed in that Friday the 13th version.
That was great.
I don't know if it's on the Internet Archive.
Yeah, so Friday the 13th for the Nintendo Entertainment System is our game of the week.
Awesome.
So, if you guys want to take it one step further and play it on Friday the 13th, do that, and have a blast doing it. I will say this: I'm not expecting great reviews from people who do play.
Why not?
The one on the NES.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah. So
him in all of his purple glory.
Yes, that is it. I have the NECA figure that they did at Comic-Con one year of the purple and blue Jason Voorhees.
I have the pop vinyl. 8-bit
so do
vinyl.
Yeah. So do I. Nope. I have him too. I have him with my 8-bit Freddy.
Oh, that's right.
Who, by the way, in his game was also kind of purple.
Yeah, I guess purple was the way to go. That
purple, well, you know what? They didn't want to do black for evil. They just did purple.
Purple represents royalty.
And evil.
Well, with that, folks, as you can tell, we're already going long, but that's okay.
Yep.
You like listening. Listen, we got to make up for it. Last week was only 18 minutes.
Yeah,
so we're going to make up for it this week.
Well, that also when you had to endure Larry just complaining for 18 minutes.
Well, it wasn't complaining. I was issuing grievances.
Yeah, huh? Well, a little cheese with that wine.
And it led to an... Damn it. All right, let's get to news. Let's do it.
All right, let's get to news. We're going to do a little something different this week with Retro News. Larry and I are going to alternate.
What? Did we talk about this?
News? No.
I don't remember discussing this. Okay.
Yeah, we did. We're gonna alternate to show you how much news he came up with and how much news I came up with.
As usual, he's going to win.
We'll start. I always win. We'll start with retro birthdays because there were other retro birthdays this week, game specific. Okay. And just a handful of ones to bring up. One of them I'm bringing up just for fun. Mm-hmm. 2008, we are celebrating the 15th retro birthday of Dead Space.
Ooh.
On PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Windows.
Wow, 15 years. Good Lord.
15 years, Dead Space.
Okay.
One of those like science fiction, horror-esque kind of games. Really, really cool game. Moving on to 2003, 2 games to celebrate. The 20th retro birthday for Max Payne, The Fall of Max Payne, which came out on Windows first.
Okay.
Actually, Windows got it before consoles did. Consoles got it about a month after.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The other game from 2003, which I'm happy to bring up because it made me remember the show and how much I used to love watching the show because it was just absurd. 2003, 20th retro birthday of MTV's Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh, my God.
On PlayStation, PS2, Xbox, and PC.
Great show. Great show.
Great show. That game was fugly.
It was a little tough, but the show itself was awesome.
Yep. And finally, 1998, the 25th retro birthday for Duke Nukem Time to Kill on the PlayStation 1.
I almost picked that up, actually.
Oh, really?
But then I remembered the collection's coming out on Evercade, and that's a whole lot easier to pick up.
Yes, the Evercade. So. All right. And then moving on from that, now we'll go into the rest of retro news. And since you brought up Evercade, that'll be the first topic I'm going to bring up.
Cool.
So Evercade recently announced, as we all know, the Evercade system. Larry has one.
Oh, love it.
And loves it. They sell compilation cartridges for it.
They sure do.
With a bunch of games on them. But Evercade announced today that their Atari carts that they have released are being discontinued. Their license with Atari ends December 31st, 2023. So if you have an Evercade and you don't own the Atari carts, now is your time to pick them up because they won't be produced anymore. There are 5 different collections.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
There's Atari Collection 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Atari Lynx Collection 1 and 2, and then Atari Arcade 1.
I forgot. I didn't put 2 and 2 together with the Lynx. Okay.
Yeah. I'm assuming the arcade, they were planning an Arcade 2 since they called that one Arcade 1, but that will not be happening.
I actually have the 2 Lynx games. Do I have the Atari one too? No, I don't have the arcade one, but I definitely have the Lynx games.
Well, so anyway, I'm actually tempted to pick these up because Evercade's on my list of consoles to buy. I just haven't picked it up yet.
Telling you, man.
But I may grab all of these before they go away. So
I might grab them too.
So that is the first bit of news I want to share. Larry, tag, you're in.
Oh, let's stick with Atari, shall we? Atari's got a great lineup of what's called recharged games.
Okay.
Basically bringing back some of their old IPs and really putting a 2023 shine on them. Mm-hmm. The newest one that just got announced, I don't think there's much of a release date yet, and all these are available on the new systems. Berserk Recharged.
Yeah.
This is one I think is going to be an awesome game to play because Berserk by itself, the original Berserk, was fantastic.
Berserk is one of those games I absolutely loved on the Atari. One of my favorite games, and I loved it. I love the arcade version too because the arcade version had sound, had audio.
Oh, absolutely!
You actually heard them talk, which was kind of cool. Granted, it was only a few different words, but still, it was great.
And what's awesome, not only are we getting Berserk, Berserk Recharge, which is coming out again on all consoles. And when I say all of them, yes, even Atari's own VCS will be getting a copy of Berserk Recharged, and that will be the system that I will be purchasing it on.
Will it wind up getting released like 8 months later, like their own 50th anniversary?
No, to be fair, usually the Recharges come out a little earlier than all the other ones. I'm still very upset at that. Trust me.
Okay.
But nevertheless, it's very cool. So, check it out, Evil Otto. And of course, every time I think Berserk, I just think of the amazing song off of the Pac-Man Fever.
That's right.
I think I'm going berserk. So check it out.
Berserk, my friend.
What? How dare you, sir? Definitely check that out when it comes out again on all current consoles.
All right. Moving on to another game. The SNES classic game Top Gear. If you remember that one, I owned Top Gear. I love that game.
Oh, game's fantastic.
Yeah, so Pico Interactive, Coleco, and Strictly Limited Games have joined forces to release a Top Gear tabletop mini arcade game. So again, it's kind of like Larry has a couple of these little tabletop arcade. I'm sorry, he only has one. You sold Rainbow Bright. I forgot.
Well, because now I have it on NES.
Right, you sold the Rainbow Bright one, but it looks like this. Like Larry is showing right now his Robotech mini arcade. So it has the buttons, but most importantly, the little arcade one for this has a steering wheel.
Yes, that is very cool.
Which is really cool. Which just reminds me of when I was 4 years old, and I had the little steering wheel thing that made it look like I was driving places.
Oh, yeah, really with the light up backgrounds.
With the light up background.
Absolutely.
Yep. So if you like Top Gear, which is also known as Top Racer, you can purchase this little mini arcade version of it, which is kind of cool.
Very
cool. Strictly Limited Games is the website to go to if you want it.
I've purchased a lot of games through them. Very good website. Very good website. So, all right. Up next, this was something that kind of came out, which I thought was pretty interesting. The list itself actually came out a couple of years ago, actually about 10 years ago, but I never really looked into it. All these game systems always have code,
code names,
different, code name, for what it is. But Xbox, the original Xbox, definitely was not its first choice, let alone second, let alone 20th choice. Yeah. There are some interesting names that they were going to go with for the original Xbox. And this is some of these rejected names came out of an interview with Edge Magazine in 2013. I'm just going to name a couple that kind of jump off at me. The Full Action Center, or FACE.
Yeah.
Let's play FACE. I want to play with your... Nope, never mind.
Do you? I want to... What are you doing tonight? Nothing. Why? I want to play with your face.
Well, you went there. I did not. A name that would be problematic today, the Microsoft Action Experience, or Max.
Oh, okay.
The let's see what else we got. The TAC. This one I like. They were going to go with TAC, Total Action Center, and the games and the discs would have been called TACs.
No.
Imagine that. Did you buy a new TAC today for your TAC?
Did you buy it? No, I didn't buy any TACs. Thank you.
The R&R, Reality and Revolution.
Did they charge you tax with your tax?
This one I would have preferred. Mega. Microsoft Entertainment and Gaming Attendant.
The Microsoft Mega.
Yeah. Why not?
Okay. Sure.
And then a couple other ones. And then another interesting one, the Verve. The Virtual Entertainment and Reality Venture. Verve. No. Can't wait to play my Verve.
No, I would never play it. The only thing I want to hear from Verve is Bittersweet Symphony. That's all I want to hear.
Great song.
Yes. And the only one I remember from them. No, Verve Pipe sang Freshman.
Yes, you're right.
They sang Freshman.
The fact that there were two bands that came out very close to each other
called Verve something
with the word Verve in it is still strikes me funny.
Yes.
So Xbox had some interesting names.
Yeah, they did have some interesting names. And thankfully, you know what? I mean, Xbox, just works anyway. So either that or we
totally
we used to it. Anyway, forget about their numbering system. That's a whole other mess.
Oh, that was going to be one of them. Also, I forgot. It was going to be called the 360. I just closed it. The TSO.
Oh yes,
the 360. That would have been a little weird.
Nuts.
Because everyone would have called it a 360.
Yeah, it would have just been a 360. Oh, did you get your 360? No.
No, I got my TSO.
Yeah. Although would it knowing you though, you would have called it the 360 if they released it that way, the same way you get mad when people say NES and SNES.
Because that's stupid and wrong. Like Bros. But you agree with me on Bros.
What's wrong with Bros?
Super Mario Bros?
Oh yeah, that sucks.
That at least you agree with me on.
Yes. Yes. You know what you need to agree with me on though? VB sucks. That's what you need to
How
agree on. So VB
dare
sucks.
you? This
Works
is why
out
I
nicely.
do not cook in Hyrule.
Moving on. We had a bunch of Atari news before. I'll throw in one more. There was a lost Atari game that was never released back in 1983 because of the video game crash. So they just never released it. Finally, 40 years later, the Atari 2600 game Save Mary is finally getting an official release. And it's going to be a physical release with the OG looking Atari box, the cartridge, the instruction booklet, all of it will be coming out. You'll be able to purchase it in the Atari XP line.
Yeah.
You can pre-order it now for $59.99.
Full price for a full game. Which is interesting because there's other Atari games that are coming out. Like actually we were talking about Berserk. There's an enhanced 2600 cartridge of Berserk that's being released. And that's only $30. But nevertheless, and what's cool about this is Atari putting out. It's like Nintendo putting out a brand new NES game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of cool.
Very cool. I was just pulling it up. I searched Hail Mary.
No, Save Mary.
Yeah.
Just a quick warning about the game. I don't know if this is going to affect it in terms of quality, but the guy who made the game, the actual game designer, Todd Fry, is also widely known for the release of another 2600 game. He's the one who ported Pac-Man, which is partially responsible for the video game crash of '83.
I mean,
so Save Mary maybe should be Hail Mary.
He had like 40 years to work on Save Mary. He had like 6 months on Pac-Man.
That's true. That's true. All right.
Very cool.
Back to you.
Hopefully that will come out for the VCS. In an interesting turn of events, but is it really? We had the shutdown, of course, of the eShops for the 3DS and the Wii U. Yeah. Now, as of April of 2024, all online gameplay will be shutting down for the 3DS and the Wii U.
I'd be sad about it if I was still using my Wii U.
The clock is ticking, dude.
The clock is ticking. I'm still trying to not track down, but I want to pull the trigger and purchase a copy of Wind Waker HD on the Wii U. I don't have.
It's a great version too, and it really does use the combination of the television and the Wii U gameplay, like properly.
Yeah,
that is really cool. But in a kind of a piggybacking story to this, all network gameplay, all network stuff is shutting down, which is concerning a lot of people because that also means leaderboards are shutting down and stuff like that.
Yeah,
look, I mean, I don't know what the logistics behind. As a gamer, obviously, you never want to see that happen, but I mean, it's got to cost money to keep those servers going. So at some point, business, Nintendo has to make a decision, just trying to be fair about it. But, and I didn't realize they were working on this, and probably the greatest name for a company, Pretendo, is currently working on, has been for a while, working on setting up servers for the 3DS, for the Wii U.
Yeah.
So when everything shuts down, people can continue playing these games online. And I didn't even think that was a possibility to do.
No, I didn't either.
So granted, it's going to involve slightly, having to hack your systems.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's people out there and it will be a free distribution, and 20 minutes after it's distributed, Nintendo will be sending out the cease and desist.
Of course.
But nevertheless, the fact that people are working on this at public servers for systems like this, really more to play online games, to download some homebrews and stuff like that. But still, I think this is really cool. No time frame, because Pretendo is really, they're like, look, we're going to put it out when it's ready. We're not rushing anything. We're going to put it out.
Well, not only that, I don't know if Nintendo can go after them because they're not selling or offering games for people to download.
True.
You have to have the game yourself in order to play it online with others.
Yeah, and I should let me reiterate the reason they're going to release it, quote, once they are stable enough for widespread use. So nevertheless, very cool to see. And they also mentioned that they will do everything they can to somehow, I don't know in what way, shape, or form, but preserve historical data, meaning like leaderboards and stuff like that. Because a lot of competition rely on those.
Of course.
So we'll see what's going on with that. Very interesting, though, to see somebody trying to keep this alive.
Cool. All right. Since you did a twofer, I'm going to do a quick twofer as well.
Okay.
So we all know that Pokemon, right? Pokemon. Yep. Ash has finally become a Pokemon champion. And
finally.
Ash and Pikachu are sadly, fading away into the Pokemon Annex in history.
Pika.
Yeah, no, they're not dying. They're just leaving. Ash and Pikachu's story is over. They are now moving on. Mm-hmm. And to celebrate that, the Pokemon Company posted a special tribute video about Ash's journey.
Yes.
With Pikachu. It's very touching. So if you are a big Pokemon fan, go online and check out that video.
It was shockingly moving, and
I've never
really played any of the games. I never watched the show.
I know. But I've watched it like a couple of episodes here and there, and the first movie, but that was it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but and for those of you who do watch the show, the finale is going to be available on Netflix. It's on Netflix right now. Very cool. If you want to see how it ends, you can, which is great. And then the other bit of news, which Larry was somehow surprised about, but I believe I brought it up on the show previously.
I don't pay attention.
There is a Pokemon live action television series coming to Japan. They just released the first trailer. The show premieres October 17th of this October 17th. Mm-hmm. The cool thing about the show is that it's a live action show, but it's not about the game itself.
Yeah.
So the story is about, it's a live action drama, like an hour long. I don't know if it's a half hour or an hour long. And it focuses on the impact of the Pokemon game on a former fan's life. So the star of the show, she's a new college grad who struggles to click in with her new job in her new city. Mm-hmm. And then her mother sends her a care package that includes a Game Boy and Pokemon Red. And the story just starts from there. So the cool thing about the show's being released in Japan, mm-hmm. but for those of you in the US who want to see it, it will actually be available on Hulu.
Which I think is amazing.
And I'm really looking forward to checking this out just to see what they're doing with it.
Yeah, I love this concept because, like you said, it's not like the movie Detective Pikachu, which is, don't get me wrong, amazing, right. But it's all real world. It's mm-hmm. just using Pokemon. I feel like there was something that came out recently that kind of had that same kind of style story to it. But in any event, using Pokemon, or as I guess some of us realized for the first time, what Pokemon is over in Japan.
Yes, it's funny. I'm
so shocked at this, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
No, I very rarely have these moments where I've missed. I literally had something go completely over my head. That's usually a Larry thing, but I'm man enough. No, it's true. I'm man enough to admit it. The virtual boy, puts you down for the rest of your life.
How dare you?
So, but I had no idea because again, not only have I really never played a traditional Pokemon game, I never made the connection in my head, nor have I ever seen the screen. Mm-hmm. of the loading screen of the game, where Pokemon is just a shortened version of Pocket Monsters. I had no idea.
That's the translation, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was Pocket Monsters, Pokemon. Nope. Nope. And again, that just shows like how little I know about Pokemon.
How much you just ignore it.
No. I know Pika Pika.
Oh, okay.
And I also have Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. I have Pokemon Snap, I have Pokemon Puzzle League. I just never played a traditional Pokemon game.
The likelihood though of the show maybe coming to Hulu, as much as TV Tokyo is available on Hulu, there's only 2 shows, let alone I think just 2 episodes of TV Tokyo shows.
Okay.
One from 2006 and one from 2017. We'll see.
Oh wow. Okay.
We'll put our hopes.
We'll see.
Not too high, but we'll see what happens.
All right. Your turn.
Yes. All right. So, as usual, and as always, we always love to see, new games come out for old systems, but a lot of times old games are coming out for new systems. As we talked recently, the availability to play a lot of these old games is disappearing rapidly. And companies like, who are now in my good graces because they realize their errors. Companies like Limited Run are allowing, for these games to become available and releasing very soon both physically and digitally, A Boy and His Blob, the retro collection.
I'm excited about this because I love The Boy and His Blob. Did I ever get far enough in the game? No. Did I love the game? Yes.
And it's going to be both the NES and the Game Boy version.
Yes.
Will be coming out in this collection. It's going to be $10.
Perfect.
And when does it come out? October 17th. It's going to be released.
Perfect. Good.
So,
I will be picking that up.
I'll pick it up too. I wasn't a huge fan. I've always rented A Boy and His Blob, but back then I was too young to kind of put two and two together, like how to play the game.
Yeah, feed the blob jelly beans, turn them into things so that you can get stuff.
Yeah, well, I wasn't paying attention.
Pretty straightforward.
But I'm looking forward to playing like this. I know you were able. I don't think it's available anymore, but you were able to purchase through limited run physical NES, physical Game Boy versions as well.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
do you have it on order?
I might. I got to look for that.
So I'm going to check their email and check what address they have.
Well, I was just, yeah. I always forget what I order from limited run because it takes so long to get it.
It does.
It does. It takes a long time to get stuff from them. I think I may have 2 or 3 orders with them that I
have one order still out. Them and Strictly Limited. Strictly Limited, I have an order that's probably approaching a year.
Oh,
but it is what it is.
Yeah, it happens.
The very rare times I buy. This is why I buy digital.
Yeah. All right. Jumping back to me.
Yes. Me.
So Lego. Every week I feel like there's a new piece of information. Like there's news about Lego. Last time we met, we were talking about the Piranha Plant. Now this time Lego has announced. Nintendo dropped today an announcement. Lego and Animal Crossing is now going to be the next thing. So there's a little preview video for it.
Okay.
That you can watch. They show a bunch of the animal characters from Animal Crossing as little Lego characters. So if you're interested in Animal Crossing and Lego coming together, be on the lookout for some sets, I guess.
Sweet. Love it.
Yep. What else you got?
Again, speaking with older games coming out, limited run, going back to them, they did announce the digital collection for the Jurassic Park games that are coming out, and it's like, I don't know, 1, 2, maybe like 5 versions, almost like the Disney collection that had Jungle Book and Lion King, and then eventually Aladdin.
Yep.
I got those out of order. But in any event, like they have like the NES version, the Super NES version, the Genesis version, the Game Boy version. That's what we're getting with the digital collection for Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park 2, The Chaos Continues, and Jurassic Park Rampage Edition. NES, Game Boy, Super NES, and Genesis versions. But what was recently announced are legacy carts right now of the NES, the Game Boy, and the Super NES version of Jurassic Park.
Nice.
Now, what's awesome about these, and again, I've always given credit because I still got Star Wars versions when a limited run put out, like with the blister packs.
I remember that. That's right.
So they're putting out these versions with these gorgeous amber color carts, to mimic obviously the amber in Jurassic Park. So
are you buying it?
I don't know, because here's the thing. The collector's edition for each one, comes with some extra stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
But it still comes with that amber color cart. But the collector edition versions, the carts light up when you play them.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
They have LEDs inside of them.
That's cool.
Very cool. Like I've seen
them before. Yeah, so you're buying them.
But they're $100 each.
You're buying it. You're still buying it.
I know. Maybe.
You'll buy one. You'll buy one of them.
We'll see. Yeah. If you collect all 5 retro collections, you get, each one has a specific sticker, and you put them all together and it plays.
Well, yeah. Well, don't do that. But you're gonna buy one.
But still, they're very cool.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Nintendo has recently announced, this is more current news, not retro news, but really quickly, Super Mario Brothers Wonder is coming out October 20th.
Yes, I got it pre-ordered.
Coming out October 20th. Well, Nintendo just announced that they will have a pre-launch celebration in their New York store. So October 19th, there'll be a pre-launch celebration for Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Very cool.
They will be announcing that information on October 10th. So when this episode drops, Be on the lookout for what Nintendo New York is going to be announcing for their pre-launch celebration, what they're going to be doing there. So there you go for that.
Very cool. And then I got one final thing just to mention real fast, as far as those of you who love physical copies of these games. On the Switch is coming out with a physical copy of the Star Wars Heritage Pack.
Oh, yes.
Which actually is cheaper than buying the collection online, shockingly. It's being released December 8th, 2023. It's going to be $60, but it's 7 Star Wars games. Nice. The Force Unleashed, Republic Commando, Episode 1 Racer, Jedi Knight 1 and 2, and Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. So if you're into Star Wars,
list.
A very solid list. Here's the kicker, though, for some of you who are purists. Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, those are the only games you have to download. The other 5 will be on cart.
Okay. Interesting.
Is what it is, though. Great collection, though, especially for Episode 1 Racer.
True. That was a fun one. I have that on the N64.
I think I ended up downloading it on the Wii. I mean, on the Switch. Yeah.
Shadow of the Empire never seen. Was that wasn't on the list?
No, it wasn't on the list
because it was another
limited run. Put it in a blister pack, but I missed it. And yeah, you're right. I haven't seen it released in a long time. That game was phenomenal.
Yeah,
on N64.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. Okay. Another bit of current news, but something I have to share because I know how happy it makes Larry. But Edge magazine. I don't know if you know Edge magazine. They've been a pop culture magazine for a long time.
Yep.
So and they always cover interactive entertainment. They are celebrating their 30th retro birthday.
Okay.
And to celebrate their 30 years, they released an article where the reader they ran their biggest poll ever, where readers, past and present staff, as well as some representatives in the video game industry, voted on the top 100 greatest games of the past 30 years. Wow. So from 1993 to 2023.
There's a lot of hitters there.
There are a lot of hitters there. And what came in at number 1?
I mean, you got to believe it's got to be like Super Mario 64, clearly.
Super Mario 64 came in 3rd.
Oh, really?
3rd.
What could possibly be? You know what? Maybe like Tomb Raider. Well, no, Tomb Raider came out earlier than 93.
No, it didn't. Know. Tomb Raider was after 93.
Oh, was I? You're right. I'm sorry.
Like 96.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, what could I can't think of them boneheading this possible list. So what they
definitely could not. They chose wisely. The top rated game of the last 30 years.
Okay.
The Legend of Zelda.
Oh,
Breath of the Wild.
What is wrong with these people? My God.
Just to give you some other notes, Tears of the Kingdom came in 20th. Top 5 though, Breath of the Wild was 1. Dark Souls was 2.
Oh, wow.
Super Mario 64 3, Ocarina of Time 4.
Wow.
And Resident Evil 4 5th place.
Okay. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, so how they're clearly not going to last another 30 years.
Thank you, Edge Magazine, for once again proving Larry wrong. I welcome anybody else watching or listening to the show to prove Larry wrong as well. It's pretty easy to do, though. All right, last bit of news I want to share.
Yes.
Because this one was actually really cool and kind of made me smile, and actually is tempting me to spend a very large chunk of money that I don't have.
Okay,
I'm not going to do it, but a very rare Nintendo M6 demo unit was put up for auction on eBay by the American Cancer Society. Now, the M6 unit was a Nintendo unit that was sent out to retailers so retailers could test NES games to determine whether or not they wanted to carry them in their stores. So basically, this unit, inside the unit, it was almost like the way you put ROMs in a system.
Yeah.
So there were 16 games inside this demo unit. And just to give you a rundown of the games on it, it had tennis, baseball, soccer, 10-yard fight, golf.
10-yard fight.
Wild Gunman, Hogan's Alley, Duck Hunt with the Zapper. Wrecking Crew, Excite Bike, Kung Fu, Super Mario Brothers, Ice Climber, Pinball, Clue Land, and Stack Up.
Wow.
So 16 games,
yep.
one big giant system that you were able to test them out on. The console, the M6 demo console, is in working order.
Yep.
It has 7 days left as of our recording. It'll be 5 days when this drops. The current price for it right now on eBay is $2,750, which to me, to be honest with you, doesn't sound that high yet, but obviously there's a week left to go.
Have you seen the shipping price?
Yeah, $90.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, look, I get it's going to the Americans. I get
it's a big thing, and it's going for charity, Larry.
I get it. Come on.
But this is the okay. You were just talking about trying to pick up $100 NES game that lights up. So I think for this unit, it's okay to spend the $90 on shipping.
I don't know.
And with that ends Retro News.
All right. Well, let's wrap this one up.
This episode.
Yes. One more time. Ant, where can they find us?
You guys can find us on Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram @RetroGamersPodcast, on Twitter @RetroGamersPod. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can watch us on YouTube @RetroGamersPodcast, or you can email us at email@theretrogamers.com.
And with that, folks, we're going to call it a week.
Yep.
Remember, next week is our big New York Comic-Con. It's our New York Comic-Con episode, so
yes,
we'll check that out. If you see me at New York Comic-Con, come say hi. I'll be there.
Yeah, please let them know how much the Virtual Boy sucks.
How dare you? I don't know what I'm wearing. All right, Ann, have a wonderful week.
You have a good week as well.
And we will catch you everywhere next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.